What is up, Sixers Nation? Doing a live today, recapping the trade deadline for this year, currently 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Thursday, February 6th. Trade deadline just happened 30 minutes ago. There's still a little bit of trades kind of filtering out as they get announced and everything like that. And want to take the next 30, 45 hour maybe, just kind of chatting it up, recapping everything that happened, not just for the Sixers, but also all of the NBA. In just a few moments, we will share our screen and kind of walk through a lot of the, basically just go right through Shams' Twitter account, recap a lot of these trades, kind of our thoughts, first reactions, why teams did it, what kind of direction people are going in. Some are more confusing than others, what kind of direction, if they're, being buyers, sellers, or trying to tank, not tank, compete, you name it. And then we will certainly hit upon, spend a little more time on the Sixers. And then we'll, talk about like the Luka and the Fox trade as well. And we've talked about it a lot, the last few days. You pop in here, want to ask a question, let us know, drop a comment. You got a question about the Sixers, general NBA stuff, you name it. No game tonight for the Sixers, but still important stuff, going on in the NBA that we will dive into here. And I pull up Shams here. We'll start. This is from yesterday. So again, just because the trade deadline was today doesn't mean you can only make trades today, as you all know from the weekend with the Luka and De'Aaron Fox trade. This is from yesterday. Bucks traded Chris Middleton, who had like double ankle surgery. So this is a guy in his 30s, had a lot of injury history. He's missed a lot of games, hasn't been able to play back-to-backs. Traded him, AJ Johnson, and a pick swap to the Wizards for Kuzma, Patrick Baldwin Jr., and a second round draft compensation. So from what I heard, it seems like Giannis wanted Kuzma. And Middleton, who's he's been there for a while. He's been there the whole time. Giannis is there. They have a really good rapport and a lot of good chemistry there. But I think just injuries have caught up to him. His age has caught up to him. And a guy that no longer can contribute like he used to, trying to get a little bit younger. They bring in a guy like Kyle Kuzma who's available for more games. And it could potentially provide a little bit of a boost from what Middleton was providing for them.
Yeah, I like Kuzma. I mean, he's having a down season, honestly, a pretty rough season. But the season before this one, he was having an all-star level season. He really was. He was putting up great stats.
Yep.
Shooting percentages were way up. Just points in general were way up. And he's a guy that can stretch the floor. He's a bigger dude for a forward. He's probably around 6'8", 6'9", I would say at least. So Kuzma has some size to him as well. And the biggest thing is availability, right? Your best ability is availability. We've seen that with Sixers throughout the season, right? There's a lot of guys that miss time. Kuzma's played a majority of the games, unlike Chris Middleton, who just has been out. And at the end of the day, you need guys that are available. This is a good move for the Bucks. I thought they really didn't give up that much. Chris Middleton is not the guy that he once was. He just isn't. And if you're not available, especially in the playoffs when you need it most, and the Bucks are of course, contender always when Giannis is on the squad, this is a good move for them.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. A lot of different trades. This is again pictured. I love when they do this too.
Yeah,
like the big three.
Big three. Oh my God.
Because Kuzma's just that great. He's a solid player, but he's not a third star on the team. He's a fourth or fifth guy. Yeah. You got Dame, you got Giannis. So I'm not saying the Bucks can't contend already, but adding Kuzma, it's not that big of a deal. You're kind of swapping a little bit there, and that's the reason why there wasn't many other big names outside of just those two. Right? You had Baldwin, second rounders, that kind of stuff. A little bit more of just added notes. Again, these are not everything that Shams shoots out as a trade. A lot of it just kind of adds a little bit more to it. Details of Kyle Kuzma reducing his trade kicker to help with the Bucks' flexibility to add to the roster, so they're not taking on as much of his contract. Kuzma and Middleton both have pretty hefty contracts. I think Kuzma's was like 4-year $90. Middleton also making a pretty big chunk of change as well. Again, they this allows them to move out the contract a little bit earlier, get some second round compensation, that kind of stuff. They obviously don't see, the Wizards don't see Middleton as part of their future there. Some smaller trades here. They're not all Luka Doncic and De'Aaron Fox trades. You got Jaden Springer, ex-Sixer here. Jaden Springer, he traded them, and their 2030 second round pick to the Houston Rockets. Both teams are changing, heavily protected second round. Blockbuster there. He gets a little post there.
Keep the chain going here with blockbusters.
You got Daniel Tice. Oh my God, I don't know what's that name. Daniel Tice. Yeah. I don't know why I just
threw an R in there.
And draft conversation to the Oklahoma City Thunder. They need some big men. I know they're getting Chet back soon. Opens up some room for the Pelicans. He's bounced around a little bit here.
I like the move, though, for the Thunder. I mean, yes, they have size, and they've had it for a long time, but there's been a lot of injuries. They are getting Chet back, but still, once again, he seems to be kind of injury prone, right? He missed a few years when he first came in the league.
Yeah.
He's been banged up this year. Isaiah Hartenstein, who's been a good pickup for them, was out for a significant amount of time. He's kind of day-to-day, so just to have some depth here is a good move. They have a Jalen Williams, not the better player, Jalen Williams, the other center on their team. Yeah. Jalen Williams spelled differently, but he's honestly more of a 4. He's undersized. This is a good pickup for them. Minor move. They probably won't even need him, but it doesn't hurt to have center depth, as we see with the Sixers too.
Mark's adding New Orleans. Was $1.4 million above the luxury tax prior to the trade. So again, they're trying to offload that contract, get below it. Which, when we talk about the Sixers, that was the reason they made a lot of the trades.
Yeah, it's money.
Now they're below. He was on an expiring $2.1 million contract. So again, Thunder gets some added depth. New Orleans gets below the luxury tax, which a lot of these owners and billionaires don't like to pay taxes, and that's why you're seeing some of the trades. A lot of the trades that you saw like today and stuff like that happens that way.
Tax is crazy.
This is about Kevin Durant. We know now that Kevin Durant obviously was not traded, but it was kind of weird. Like it was one of those things where it kind of came about where like out of nowhere about the Kevin Durant thing being available, all that. He's not has no desire in a reunion, does not want to go back, but. After, I think a lot of it has to do with like after the Luka and the Fox, like, no one's safe. A guy like Kevin Durant, big star like that, can certainly be on the move. We now know he was not traded or will not be traded. This season doesn't mean he can't be moved in the future here, depending on what the Suns do. I know the Suns have like the toughest schedule the rest of the way, and they're I believe only one game above 500, so they got a tough road to go. Certainly not, in my opinion, like one of the top teams in the West, at least at this point. But you got to go for it, right? When you have KD and Beal and Booker, they're not. I mean, Booker's kind of young, but Beal and KD are old, and you got to make a run for it. Jonas Valanciunas going to the Sacramento Kings for City Sissoko. So this was Sissoko was part of the Luka trade, the 3-team trade. He was sent to the Sacramento Kings and 2 second-round picks. For that. Yeah. This one here, actually, Jonas Valanciunas was a guy that was a lot of Lakers fans thought would be going to LA. Now, when we scroll up as we go through this, we're trying to go in the chronological order, so it's I know, again, these are 22. This is from 22 hours ago, so not breaking news. We now know that the Los Angeles Lakers traded for Mark Williams. So that's going to be their center for the future. But I do know a lot of Lakers fans wanted Valanciunas there. Mm-hmm. They end up with, Mark Williams there. Blockbuster here, Miami Heat did trade Jimmy Butler to Golden State for Andrew Wiggins, Dennis Schroeder, Kyle Anderson, and a protected first-round pick. I know we talked about this pretty extensively in some of our lives and like what the Sixers would need to do, or maybe a 3-team trade and where he ends up and all that. It was not a question mark if the Warriors were active. They called the Sixers about PG. They called Phoenix about Kevin Durant. They end up getting Butler to pair alongside Steph Curry, and you need a guy like Andrew Wiggins to kind of match salaries and all that. Basically, the Warriors. I'm not saying they're all of a sudden contenders. I don't know if you disagree with that, but I don't see this as being too crazy of a need to move. It certainly helps, but at the end of the day, it's like, hey, you're not trading Curry. The Warriors have shown that he's untouchable. He's going to retire a Warrior. Yeah. Unless for some reason Curry decides he wants out, which I don't see happening. You need to get him as much help as you can, and a guy like Jimmy Butler provides. Even if it's they get 2% better, you make that trade, right? They gave him a big extension. What was it, 2 year, $122 million, something crazy to Butler. So Butler gets his payday. He gets out of Miami, heads to the West Coast, joins up with Steph Curry, potentially have, I guess, a better chance than he would have with the Heat. I don't know what you think. I mean, they get, and then the Heat get a little younger, right? Wiggins on a pretty friendly contract. Actually, let me see what his contract is. A little bit younger again than Jimmy Butler. And I believe, wasn't there a first rounder in there too? Protected first round pick. I think it's actually this year's first round pick. Which it should, 4-year 109. So he's making a little bit over $25 million, which sounds like a lot, and it is, but not too much in the NBA world. And he's having a decent year. So it's kind of win-win for all. Jimmy Butler gets out of Miami. He wasn't playing there, so at least you get something back. You get a first round pick. Wiggins, Schroeder, these are guys you can deal again if you want to, or keep on your team for depth. And then the Warriors get their guy alongside.
Yeah, I mean, for the Heat, like Jimmy Butler wasn't playing like you said. He was a total headache, honestly.
Yeah.
Pat Riley could not wait to get rid of him, and they finally did. Just disagreeing on a lot of different philosophies, and it just ultimately didn't work out. And Butler's been that way his entire career. I understand if you put the personality aside, which is hard because it's such a personality-driven sport. It just is. There's a lot of egos on a team when there's only 5 guys on the court. It really does matter in terms of play style and how everyone can play together. I like the move for Golden State. It's a win-now move. They have to go for it, especially where Steph Curry's at in his career, where Draymond's at. It's a win-now move. But once again, who's to say, hey, a year from now, Butler's pissed off and they ask out again. So that's the problem with it. But you have to go for it in the playoffs. If he plays, we know Butler rises to the occasion typically. And I liked how him and Steph can kind of complement each other. We'll see if it lasts. That's the big question mark.
Yep. Absolutely. Let's see. As part of the deal, Warriors, Randy Waters III,
huge,
and he's Josh Richardson headed to the Detroit Pistons. So another team getting involved in there just to help with contract, all that. And as we mentioned, 2-year, 121. So not 122, 121. It's still $60 million plus. Extends him to the 2026 through the 2026-2027 season. And he's going to be declining his player option, obviously. So take that $60 million a year for sure. Again, yes, this is kind of what we're talking about here. 2 months ago, there was a saga. Jimmy Butler, and he ends in a trade to Golden State, one of his 4 initial preferred destination, and a new extension. So again, $60
million a year.
Yeah, a little over $60 million dollars a year. Butler ends up in one of his preferred destinations, so they kind of did him right. There was Pat Riley and ownership and front office. Didn't just trade him to the Detroit Pistons. Granted, why would the Pistons want him?
Gotta give credit to Butler, though, man. I mean, basically winding your way out of every situation has got him significant paydays. This dude gets paid. And he is a very good player. Don't get it twisted, but he's not top 10 good. I don't know if he ever has been. Yeah, maybe that one season they went to the finals, he was up there. But Butler's a fringe top 10 player, and man, he gets paid like he's the best.
Yep.
He really does.
Yep. Part of this deal. So again, not all of them are heading to Miami. Schroeder went to Utah, which he was actually right before the deadline traded again to the Pistons. So Schroeder has been moved multiple times. Was traded earlier in the season from Brooklyn to Golden State. So he's been traded 1, 2, 3 times in the last few months. I mean, that's tough. I don't know what's better. Maybe they'll live in Detroit or Utah. I mean, I don't know. And then Kyle Anderson to Toronto as part of the trade. Another player headed to Miami in that deal. PJ Tucker was added to that. So he reunites with the Heat, who used to play for that. So Kyle Anderson, maybe he could potentially be a buyout guy. Toronto, getting a contract there. Who knows what his future is? He's probably not part of their future. So another big 3 graphic with interesting. I mean, Butler and Curry are absolutely fine being there, but Draymond.
This isn't 2016, but whatever.
Exactly.
Holy, the graphics are just flying in.
Yeah. This one here, not a trade, but still important news. Lonzo Ball, who was in discussions for, was made available for multiple second-round picks. Granted, he's making a decent chunk of change, and with all of his injuries and everything like that, looked like he was maybe going to be on the move. But you see here, Chicago Bulls did agree to a 2-year, $20 contract in there. We got question here from Scott Lord, which is trade grade or too early. Well, I mean, it's always too early, right? Anything they say, whether we say everything's great or not, it's always too early, right? You haven't even seen Grimes play, and we'll talk about this a little bit more later. We kind of wanted to start kind of going to the NBA first, and we'll get more to the nitty gritty of the Sixers. Overall, I just don't think you can give it anything above like a B plus, right? Because you didn't make any splashes, right? You got you could argue they got marginally better with Grimes and Jared Butler, and they picked up some picks here that they could certainly trade and all of that. But you got rid of Caleb Martin, Reggie Jackson, and KJ Martin. Yep. So we can certainly. I think it's a little bit easier to kind of grade each trade individually than to
as you
put them together. But overall, not too many splashes. Even though I've talked about it so many times before, I'm okay with that. I wasn't expecting a big splash. I know he was maybe going to the Golden State Warriors instead of Jimmy Butler, which ended up happening there. But I'm okay them not making a big splash because they're in a weird spot right now where, they're in between competing and tanking, all that, even though I think they're going for the, competing. I just don't see them, I didn't see them making a big splash too, just because they already have, PG, Embiid, Maxey making a big chunk of change, you're not going to move one of those guys.
Yeah, made a lot of lateral moves, clear up
Yeah.
some cap space, this and that. I mean, not an exciting trade deadline for the Sixers. We've had a lot more exciting ones in the past. This was kind of a boring one.
Yeah. Do we have any clear winners of the deadline? Maybe Lakers.
It's the Lakers, it has to be.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be. It has to
Lakers,
be the Lakers. They picked up generational talent with the Doncic, a guy that could potentially bring them multiple championships. Wasn't going to happen, right? I mean, the Lakers were dead in the water. LeBron about to retire in the next few years. AD, old, and old. Yeah, LeBron's not old, but AD's old.
Old as hell.
AD and LeBron, they're two big stars, both old and potentially retiring in the next few years or on the decline and all that kind of stuff. And you didn't have much future, right? You had, Dalton Knecht, fine, Rui, fine, Austin Reeves, fine. Like they didn't have much future, and they were gifted this from the Dallas Mavericks. So yes, absolutely the Lakers. They also made the Mark. As we scroll through the Sham stuff, we'll show the Mark Williams one, which is a great pickup. He's a guy averaging 16 and 16 or something like that.
Kind of good stats.
He's a young guy too, on a good contract there. I know they got rid of Dalton Knecht in that trade there, but he's a high flyer, can work really well with Luka. Luka does really well when you got a big in there that's athletic, like a Derek Lively, like he had in Dallas. Warriors, yeah, I mean you want to keep your stars happy, with Steph getting Jimmy Butler. Certainly one there. I would argue like the Spurs more than the Warriors, just because Fox is a guy that's going to be there for many, many years and grow alongside Wemby. Wemby needed a star there outside of just himself. And that's a tandem that, just like Luka in LA, I could see the Spurs winning multiple champions too. And with Fox and Wemby there too. So there was other big, names on the, Zach LaVine find a new team, Brandon Ingram on the move, that kind of stuff. And there were certainly some teams that made like some marginal like moves here and there. But yeah, first time that sticks out is the Lakers, and that's a move that they made over the weekend, and not like today.
I know the Warriors are going to get thrown in there as clear winners, but I don't know if it is a clear win. I mean, we'll see if it pays off. 2 years, you paid a shit ton for Jimmy Butler. You had to give up some younger assets in return. It wasn't a blockbuster.
Some of the Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, you have to, once again, this is a win now move. I mean, I don't want to say you mortgage your future. If you threw in, there was Kuminga in there, that would be a major L. Luckily, they kept on to him. But we'll see. I mean, they have to, these teams have to contend and really get that. That doesn't mean just make the playoffs. There are plenty of teams that make the playoffs or win a first round matchup. You have to make it to the finals, right? Because we talked about with Luka, hey, at least he brought his team to the finals. He's on a run there. That shows improvement. Just making the playoffs is not enough for these teams. It's just not.
Yeah. So a lot of things going around the Miami Heat trade with the Warriors on the Jimmy Butler one. So Kyle Anderson going to be staying in Miami for now. Wiggins, Tucker, and Anderson in Miami, along with the Warriors protected first rounder. So doesn't seem like it'll be like buyout candidates, all that. Another trade here, New York Knicks trading Jericho Sims to the Bucks as part of a Bucks Washington Wizards. A part of that trade. Okay, so this was added in to the trade there too. So Jericho Sims, who got a decent amount of minutes this year for the New York Knicks just because of the Mitchell Robinson injury and all that. Going to the Milwaukee Bucks in this trade. He's a solid player, solid bench piece kind of thing, but nothing too crazy there. DeLon Wright and Cash also being sent in that trade. Another big name here, Brandon Ingram. The Pelicans trading him to the Toronto Raptors for Bruce Brown Jr., Kelly Olynyk, 1 first-round pick, and 1 second-rounder. So Brandon Ingram, who certainly been involved in some conversations with the Sixers, like, hey, back when they had Tobias, like, should they make a move trading Tobias for Brandon Ingram? This is a guy who you could argue puts up a lot of, empty stats, right? He's not the best defender. Certainly can shot create a little bit, but he's one of those guys that's kind of like a tier below being like a star in my opinion.
Yeah.
He can get you 15, he can get you 20, but he's not a guy you can really build a team around. I mean, look how stacked, and this could be a whole entire video about the Pelicans and their struggles, and Zion being out doesn't help and all that, but like, the Pelicans haven't won anything, and he's been there for multiple years after starting his career in LA. I just don't see him being a building block there. Seems like maybe the Raptors see something in him. Pair him alongside Scotty Barnes, who will definitely make up for a lot of his defensive inabilities there. And you didn't give up. The Raptors didn't give up too much, right? Bruce Brown Jr., Olynyk, 1 first-round pick. I mean, you're basically just giving a bunch of role players and like 1 first-round pick and 1 second-rounder. Yes, you have to pay his contract, but you didn't give up very much. So I think it's a little bit of a win-win for both sides on the chance that he can help pair alongside Scotty Barnes to kind of grow with him because he's still, let's see, how old is he now? Is he 28 now?
Ingram, early 20s.
He's 27. Yeah, he'll be 28 in September. So he's still relatively young. So you see how it goes. You pair him alongside Scotty Barnes. They're certainly not going to be winning anything this year, but you build off of that, right? You build off of that. They got other guys there, in Toronto too. Grady Dick and some other guys too. You can build around. So this will be a test. Very much, and then you weren't with them, so may as well something for. Right? You get a first rounder, second rounder, then who knows? Maybe you trade Bruce Brown for some more picks, a Kelly Olynyk, these kinds of things.
Right.
Trade deadline's over, but again, I'm saying like in the future, in the offseason, that kind of stuff. This is the Mark Williams we're talking about. Lakers sent Dalton Knecht, Cam Reddish, and a 2031 unprotected first-round pick and a 2030 pick swap to the Charlotte Hornets for Mark Williams. Hornets had a lot of centers start the year. They traded Nick Richards to Phoenix. Now they traded Mark Williams to LA. Like we said, Lakers were in a market. They didn't have a center. They traded AD to Dallas. They already didn't really have a center because AD wanted one, so he could play power forward. AD was basically playing center for them. They needed some big guys, and Mark Williams steps in here, who is, I believe, like 24.
Yeah, he's young. I think, he's probably 24. I think he was born in 01. 24, 23.
He's 23. Yeah, he won't be 20. He won't be 24. He just turned 23.
It's
so
a good
young
pickup.
player who, again, flash, except pick and roll, pick and pop, all these types of stuff. You need grab rebounds, do like kind of the dirty work. And you give up, Dalton Knecht has played well, but he was drafted mid first round. Cam Reddish is kind of just rotational guy, and then you give a pick swap and unprotected first round pick. You're not thinking about the 2030.
Time will tell with this trade. I don't know right away though. I kind of think the Hornets might have slightly won it. I feel like Dalton Knecht, although yes, you mentioned middle of first round, he's played extremely well for rookie. Was kind of in that rookie of the year race, and still kind of is. And just the way he's shooting, very capable of deep shooting there from three. Can also drive in, get you a bucket. I like what he provides. I think this is a good piece. He's also younger than Mark Williams, which is not saying much, but still, I believe 22. Same age, pretty much.
Yeah, he will be 24.
Actually, he's older. He's older, so I take that back. But still, I feel like Knecht's a better player. Maybe I guess not. I don't know. I haven't watched a lot of Mark Williams.
Yeah,
he plays in Charlotte.
You're trading for a starter, right? Dalton Knecht was coming off the bench for you. Right. He's basically like Austin Reeves 2.0. You got guys like Rui, so these guys that can shoot the ball. So you don't really need shooting. You already have Luka and LeBron. You need a guy that can play some defense. You need some size. You need some guys that can grab rebounds, all that kind of stuff. And Mark Williams fits the team a little bit better. How they're constructed right now. So yeah, I think it's a win-win for both sides. You could argue that the Hornets made out better, but when a team is desperate like the Lakers who need size, you can get more out of that, right?
Yeah, they do need size.
Yeah. So again, right? Yeah, 7'2" center, fits the profile of athleticism, verticality, who flourished with Luka Doncic. And then Hornets get their rookie and draft capital and all that. Yeah. So Hornets overall, they own their first in the next 7 years. They have and then multiple outside of just the picks that they already own themselves. They got a pick from Miami, from Dallas, LA, unprotected first from the Lakers. So Hornets to have been the bottom barrel of the league for a very, very long time. Trying to build something outside of just LaMelo Ball, who's been kind of there by himself for years. Not trade deadline related, but Chet Holmgren is off the team's injured report. This is from 6 hours ago. So they're getting back their starting center, 40-9. Wow, Thunder remaining regular season will feature reintegrating Holmgren into the young rising title contender. So not a trade, but kind of a trade, right? Because he missed the season. So you kind of add him right back in lineup to a team that's already dominating at 40-9. So he's been out, since November 10th. So he's been out basically the whole entire season with a hip injury. You got to see if he stays healthy. I'm sure he'll kind of ease him back into things. But certainly a big, basically pickup for them. You got Davion Mitchell heading to the Miami Heat for PJ Tucker, second round pick in cash. Nothing too crazy there. Patrick Baldwin was traded to San Antonio for cash. Sorry. So this is again part of the Kuz trade where they got Baldwin from that. Nurkic on the move from the Phoenix Suns. They traded him and a 2026 first-round pick to the Hornets for Cody Martin, Micic, and a 2026 second-round pick. So the Suns Nurkic was not doing it for. Remember, like they sent Nurkic and
Bench.
Beal to the bench, and then they wanted to. Cody Martin, he's a solid player. Same with Michi's, and you get a second round pick. You do have to offload your first round pick, but you want to get off Nurkic's contract, all that kind of stuff.
You get a wing.
You get a wing, a little bit something for him. What do you think? What do you say, Caleb? I would say Caleb Martin's probably a little better than
Caleb Martin's better, but Cody's still solid.
Still solid,
It's a fine pickup. This is a good trade there.
Cavs making a trade too. Yeah, this was a sneaky one out of the teams. There wasn't a lot of the kind of the top tier teams making some decent moves. And the Hawks traded DeAndre Hunter, the Cleveland Cavaliers, for Karis LeVert, George Yang, shout out to you, and 3 second-round picks and 2 swaps for this. So Hunter, good wing, right? The Cavaliers, who right now sitting atop the East, they're looking around. They're like, who's going to guard? OG and Mikal Bridges and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Hunter's a guy that can do that.
Yeah.
Do that for you. As great as the Cavs are, their best guys are Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. They're not guarding those guys. Mobley can certainly, he can guard 1 through 5. I'm sure they'll probably put Mobley on one of those guys, but there's still a little bit of a mismatch there at certain occasions. So you need a wing, and they didn't really have. Not saying DeAndre Hunter's an elite wing or anything like that, but they didn't really have kind of a 3-and-D guy.
No, it's a great trade for the Cavs. They had a ton of guards anyway, and to get on Ty Jerome plays for them. You mentioned Garland, you mentioned Donovan Mitchell, who's consistently out there and their best player. They're a small team, so to get a small forward that really fits the mold of a 3-and-D player, which you mentioned are up and down the Eastern Conference. You go from the Sixers if they're actually contenders, which you know is Paul George. The list goes on and on. You mentioned the Celtics, so on and so forth. But a great pickup. They gave up Karis LeVert, who. Yes, nice piece off the bench, but he can start here and there. Once again, a guard. George Niang can't really move anyway. He's a 4. He's just goes a
Talk about mismatch on defense.
We love Niang, but my God, they call him the minivan for a reason. God damn.
And then second rounders. Second rounders.
It's a win now move.
Yep. No, good trade there for the Cavs. Clippers are trading, and someone actually, Cavs may be a team that's interested in the playoffs, right? If they end up as the 8th seed, they may see Cavs first round. Clippers traded Terrence Mann and Bones Highland to the Atlanta Hawks for Bogdan and 3 second-round picks there. So Terrence Mann and Bones been part of the Clippers organization for a few years now. Bogdan there. So the Clippers, who have been performing pretty well out west, getting a shooter and some second-round picks there. So again, it's kind of a lateral move for both teams there, but nothing too splashy. But wanted to go through that there. Hawks also trading Cody Zeller and Houston 2028 second-round pick to the Rockets. As we mentioned, about an hour ago, Schroeder got sent to Detroit. So he went from Brooklyn to Golden State to Utah, and now is currently in Detroit. Would be surprised if he is not bought out, right? I'm assuming he's going to get bought out there, considering the Pistons are they're actually playing kind of well. So maybe they do. Maybe they do.
I mean, they're I don't want to say they're contending, but they're building towards that.
Yeah, so maybe. One here from a little bit less. We're kind of catching up a little bit here as we've gone through these in chronological order. Grizzlies did trade Marcus Smart and a 2025 first-round pick to the Wizards in a multi-team trade that sends 2 second-round picks to Memphis. Memphis creates roster flexibility with the move. Yeah, so I mean, this was a move. Played really well in Boston. Was sent to Memphis, and he just always injury riddled, right? Let's see, what was his contract? They're basically just offloading his contract is all it is. That's why you got to send the first round pick. As part of that, 4 years, $76 million. So, Memphis offloading his contract in this deal, someone who they thought they could, win with, and alongside John Morant. John Morant's been also injury riddled this year too, unfortunately. Sends him to Washington, and who knows what Washington will do with him? Maybe they'll buy him out. Maybe they'll trade him again or something like that. Clippers are trading Kevin Porter Jr. to the Bucks for Martin Beauchamp. Wow, absolute thriller right there. James Wiseman. I mean, talk about
cash.
I would say fall from grace, but I don't think he ever had anything to fall from.
And cash to the Toronto Raptors. God damn, the roast of James Wiseman.
Never mentioned. Suns not moving Kevin Durant. So breaking news there.
That's it, baby.
Let me refresh. We may be caught up here.
10 more trades happened. Shan's been traded. Hamstring himself. Oh, Sixers. Chuba Okeke.
Chuba Okeke. Is that
Kiki.
Is that not the analyst on ESPN?
Monica
the NBA G League's Westchester Knicks.
Wow, I mean, that's blockbuster, guys. That's huge.
Yeah, I guess we missed that one since we started this 3:30.
I know you're all devastated.
Wizards also sending Marvin Bagley to the Grizzlies as part of that deal. All Baxter. Talk about another fall from grace.
God damn. Dollar Tree headset.
Yeah, jeez. All right, so that catches us up to that. Again, let us know if you have any questions about any of those trades. We already,
Yeah, Lord.
about kind of Clearwater. Still think the Lakers. I kind of honestly, what happens? You got to have basically a bona fide top 5 player in the league. Top 5. You traded for a guy that's top 5 in the league and didn't give up $1 million first round picks and all of your features. So
it'll matter.
No matter what happens, or what has happened, Lakers are sitting pretty nice right now. So, but let's take this time. I know we've been yapping for the last 30 minutes here about the NBA. Let's do a bit of a trade recap. And this is from Jacob Marino. He did a good job of putting this together. Shout out to him, Run Citrus Country on Instagram here. Here we go. So this is a recap. Again, this doesn't include the Chuba Hubbard. They just picked up there.
Jesus.
So this gets into the gained and who they lost. So they gained again Quentin Grimes. Well, we'll share in a few minutes here their stats. We'll go through each player and all that. Got Quentin Grimes. That was part of the Caleb Martin trade. And Jared Butler, another young guy. So they got 2 young guards, both 24 years old. Not stars by any means, but can certainly blossom and get a little bit better here. They picked up a bunch of second-round picks. From Dallas and Washington, all these because the Washington trade again was, remember, they traded that least favorable pick, got 4 second rounders. Dallas, that one was from Caleb Martin trade. Lost Caleb Martin, that's the best player they lost, right? This is a guy they brought in and was paid not just below, but he was the 4th highest paid player outside the big 3. Fortunately, due to injuries, missed a lot of games, but good defender, one of those wings that can, kind of shoot the free ball. Getting Quentin Grimes is huge, right? He can shoot the ball really well. Shoot almost 40% this year from 3. A lot younger. KJ Martin, that was definitely an unfortunate trade. If any, that was definitely the worst of those, just because of the situation, right? They gave KJ Martin a 2-year, $6 million contract, just basically as filler for future trades, where they could add him on to a Caleb Martin or a Kelly Oubre or whomever to make a splash if they were doing well. But the Sixers have fortunately not performed the best, and they want to offload that contract. So they offloaded that contract, ended up getting rid of some second rounders here that they had traded for and already had to get them below, again, the luxury tax threshold. So they're now $3.5 million below that. This does allow them some wiggle room for buyouts, so stay tuned for that. Maybe we'll do some videos on buyout candidates, who they get on the buyout, which you may see in the next coming days. Not anyone crazy available right now, but we'll keep you updated on that. Reggie Jackson also on move for the Sixers. So in terms of talent, you're not losing a whole lot on Reggie Jackson, right? He really shouldn't be playing in games. He's just playing because Jared McCain's hurt and all these other guys are out. KJ Martin showed some good flashes. Unfortunately, he's just been hurt for the last 2 months basically. And then Caleb Martin, solid player, but he just can't shoot the ball very well. Had an amazing game against the Celtics, so we're gonna miss him against the Celtics.
That's about it.
But outside of that, nothing too crazy here.
Yeah,
like I said, maybe give this one a C+. Certainly hurts again that if you didn't make that KJ Martin thing, you wouldn't have to trade him away.
Right,
But
and that's a
these are types of
product.
things that happens in the offseason.
That's a product of the team's success. This is what happens when you perform significantly below what was expected. Caleb Martin, if we're a well above 500, a 3 seed in the East, or whatever we were expected to be, Caleb Martin's still in the team. He just is. He's a playoff type guy. That's why you have him. If he was playing throughout the season, Caleb Martin is still here. Honestly, yeah, KJ was expected to be gone. Maybe Reggie Jackson's still here, just deep in the bench because he doesn't even play. Things like that, who knows? But the reason this trade deadline looks as how it does is because of the way the Sixers has played throughout this season. It just is. Yeah. Like I said, if they were a 3 seed, this would be a different scenario. They really would be. Good thing is, well, good and bad thing, they cleared up some room. We'll see. The big question mark that's not on here is Yabusele. Now he's a Sixer for the rest of the season. What happens in the offseason? We know he's a quote-unquote free agent. So what happens? That's the big question mark. But we'll get into that later. But this is what the deadline looks like. I probably give it, a C+ if I had to grade just for the Sixers. It's not exciting. They got second rounders. You did get Quentin Grimes and Butler, who they're question marks. Quentin Grimes a little more proven than Jared Butler, but you got some youth. You got some youth back, which is cool because this team is historically old. You finally lowered the age from mid-30s to maybe lower 30s. Who knows?
Yeah. So again, Quentin Grimes sitting at 6'4", 210 pounds, was born May 8th, 2000. So he's 24 right now, will be 25 in May. Was a first-round pick back in 2021 for the Clippers. Has bounced around a little bit here. Averaging 10 points. He's averaged double digits, 3.8 rebounds, 2.1 assists. Shooting pretty efficient, 46% from the field here. And we'll see here, this regular season stats. Again, like I said, 39.8% from three. He's kind of average at free throw, all that. The big thing is his three ball. The Sixers, after losing Jared McCain, they already didn't have many shooters when they lost Jared McCain. And Kelly Oubre and Caleb Martin, all these guys are really not that good. They're maybe like above average a little bit, slightly, but overall not really the best 3-point shooters. Not going to shoot high volume, anything like that. Quentin Grimes allows you a guy that you can put alongside an Embiid, put alongside a Tyrese Maxey and all that, and shoot the three ball. And again, he's still young. He's a restricted free agent this summer, so they can either choose to sign him to a contract. Maybe they give him like a 4-year, $50 million contract. I know he wants $20 million from what I'm hearing. Don't think he will get that, but he is restricted, right? So the Sixers can match whatever it is, right? I don't see a team giving him that much. So I think they'll have some leeway there, and you see what you get out of the last few weeks here. See if that's someone that you think you should resign. And you go from there. Yeah,
also with him, I mean, yes, you alluded to his three-point percentage, which is his best attribute. On top of that, though, it's not going to show up in the box score. It's his quick trigger. There's not a lot of guys. We talk about catch and shoot, right? Kelly Oubre can shoot the three. Caleb Martin can shoot the three. There's a difference being able to shoot it and also being like a willing shooter. This guy is a willing shooter. He will shoot volume. He will shoot it quick, which is something that we need. We need guys like an Eric Gordon. There's one guy out there that's quote unquote a catch and shoot guy. That's Eric Gordon. When he's not in there, there's really no one else to truly space the floor like that. This guy is a floor spacer, and he's able to handle and create a little bit as well, coming more in the guard spot versus a wing.
Yeah. Now you see here again, played 3 years in New York. I'm sure you guys will remember him there. Yeah, 38%, 38.6, 36.3, an astounding 14.3 again. Only 6 games here. 4.6. This is a little bit of an outlier, so I wouldn't look at that.
I don't count.
And 39.8. So he's an above average 3-point shooter.
Career year from three.
Decent volume too. 4.3 attempts and only 22 minutes a game. Right. So he's not a starter. He's a guy that comes off the bench, can get you 20 minutes a night. He can shoot 50 threes a game. He's making 1.7 this year. He's played in almost every game this year for the Dallas Mavericks, averaging again 10 points per game there. He's still young, so certainly like the pickup there.
Yeah.
For the Sixers. Let's talk about Jared Butler now, who is the other acquisition for the Sixers. What's up, Zay Brown? Personally, I think we're maximizing. It's a few things. The biggest thing is, Josh Harris, who's the Sixers majority owner, does not want to pay the big tax, right? When you're over that tax threshold, you're just paying a lot of money. And he owns the Devils, he owns the Commanders. Seems like a lot of his attention's already on the Commanders right now, after what they've been doing, and not on the Sixers. And yes, it does open up the ability for the buyout. So it's kind of a win-win for the owner. For the fans, yes, you could say for the buyout, but it's also just like, as fans, you're like, hey, let's win, let's spend money. But a lot of times these owners, it's not just Josh Harris, right? That's the main reason why the Mavericks and their ownership made the Luka Doncic trade, because they don't want to pay him that big amount of money. Which actually, funny enough, I was seeing a video earlier about it's more than just that too. Apparently, the ownership, they got a lot of their wealth I'm talking about the Mavericks here, from casinos. They want to build a casino in Dallas. Part of the stadium was rejected, so he thinks that they're kind of tanking on purpose, so that they give him that, because they're kind of threatening. They wanted to move to Vegas.
Yeesh.
From Dallas, which they got, which they're not going to allow it. But maybe if the team sucks enough, they'll move out of Dallas, which is a big sports market, right? They got the Cowboys, they got, the Stars, they got all the different teams there. So yeah. I mean, it's maximizing the buyout, but you're not going to get very much in the buyout, right? You're getting small pieces here and there. It would be nice if they could get maybe some center help, because Drummond's been out, and even when he plays, he sucks. Give Bona and Yabusele and Embiid some help, because Embiid misses a lot of games, and Yabusele really isn't that 5. You think in the offseason we're trading PG? I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, once again, if we win the title, probably not going to happen, right? But that changes. So there's expectations that go along with this. If we make the playoffs and actually surprise some people and maybe somehow get to the second round or even win that, who knows? This team gets hot and they get in there, there's a chance. So it really just depends. I don't think he's going to get traded. I find that very unlikely. But once again, if they finish with, what do they have, 20 wins? They finish with 25. he might be gone. So it's way too early to tell. There's a lot of things that have to happen in Paul place. I just find it very likely that Paul George is here for 1 year. I don't know, the value you're going to get back for him is probably very little. Look at what Butler. Do you want another Andrew Wiggins type player? That's going to get you nowhere. At least Paul George has a higher, I don't want to say ceiling, but he has a higher threshold he can hit versus, a guy like Andrew Wiggins is capped. The value's not there. So I don't know what you're going to trade him for. It makes very little sense.
Right. And you'd be trading a guy who's like at his worst, right? You want to trade a guy when he's playing well.
Yeah, his value's low, man.
His value is pretty low right now, and on his big contract, he makes he's just a lot more valuable on the Sixers than not. So, no, appreciate those questions there, Zay. And this is an ongoing discussion for all this stuff, right? We'll find out more about the buyout. We'll find out more about what Daryl Morey's vision is, right? A lot of these things is like, what are they doing, right? What are the Toronto Raptors doing trading for Brandon Ingram? I thought they were tanking. Like, what are they doing? Are they like, or there's sometimes a mixed thing where it's like, oh, this team just traded for this guy, but they also just offloaded a bunch of picks. So are they playing for the future? Are they playing for now? These are all things that happen not just for the Sixers, but for all these other teams. And, you'll kind of find we'll do pressers afterwards when they introduce these kind of players and all that kind of stuff. We'll get you get a chance to hear from Daryl Morey and kind of his vision for the future there for the Sixers. So, kind of stay tuned for that. But let's talk about the other guy they got, Jared Butler, who is 6'3", 193, also 24 years old. A little bit, I guess, younger, a few months younger than Quentin Grimes. He'll be 25 in August from Baylor. I remember actually watching play. He was second-round pick. He's actually a guy I wanted the Sixers to draft at the time in the 2021 draft. Fell to the 40th pick, averaging 6.9 points, 1.3 rebounds, 2.6 assists, and shooting 48.3% from the field this season here. 36.6% from 3 points, so pretty solid there. Again, they get another young guard. You add in Jared Butler, you got Quentin Grimes, you got Jared McCain, you got Terrence Maxey. Those are some pretty young guards for the Sixers to kind of build off of. This is a guy who's bounced around the league decent out. Started his career in Utah, played some in OKC, Washington for a few years. Now he's in the Sixers. So he's never averaged a lot of points. He's also not playing a lot of minutes, right? So he's a guy that's kind of like the end of the bench. Like Quentin Grimes then could be kind of like almost like a six-man.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I think fully healthy. And we could take a look to the depth chart to kind of see what now kind of where they stand, everything like that. But he shoots pretty efficiently, 48%, 48.8. He's definitely not as much of a shooter as Quentin Grimes. Jared Butler, a little bit more of a slasher, you know what I mean? Shooting a pretty decent clip, but only 1-3 attempt. Right? We just showed Quentin Grimes who shoot around 4 threes a game. Right. He's shooting 1.3, 2.1, 2.3. He's not like a crazy 30.8, 31.8. So he's like a little below average 3-point shooter, I would say, having a good year this year. So maybe it's a little bit of a turning point. Right? He's still young, so he hasn't played a crazy amount of minutes in the NBA. He's played 120 total games, 11 minutes. He's only played a little bit over 1,000 minutes. In his NBA career.
It's not a ton. But like you said, youth is a big thing. We got some youth back, and yeah, he might not play a ton. I think with injuries, he'll certainly be in the rotation, which has been the theme all season long. Let's be honest. There's guys that were before the trade deadline, Sixers that honestly should not be playing. They just should not. Reggie Jackson should not be playing minutes, but that's where we were with injuries and how banged up they are. You got day-to-day Embiid, unfortunately. But there's the depth chart here.
Yeah, let me share this.
Let's share this over here. Yeah, this is a good one to take a look at because the Sixers, to have some youth back, and yeah, Grimes is certainly going to play a lot. Who knows, depending on the lineup, and there will be some games where Grimes starts. There just will be.
So you see here, fully healthy. This is kind of what you're looking at here, right? Maxey, Oubre, PG, Yabusele, Embiid. I could certainly see them doing times where Eric Gordon starts, or Quentin Grimes starts, or Justin Edwards starts. Fully healthy, you're looking at a decent starting lineup, right? Yabu alongside Embiid, you got PG, Maxey, the big three there, and Oubre. Second line here, Kyle Lowry wasn't dealt. Again, had a he could veto any trade, right?
Yeah, he has the power to.
Again, it was from the area. I didn't see them envisioning them doing it anyway, just out of respect. And then you got Jared Butler. So I'd like to see some more Jared Butler than Kyle Lowry, right? Reggie Jackson's gone. So you should see some Jared Butler. Again, he's played 10 to 15 minutes a game. That'd be cool if he played that for the Sixers.
Yeah.
And then you got Eric Gordon, Quentin Grimes. So kind of sit in that same boat, third string. But I wouldn't be surprised if these guys move up to the second string because Eric Gordon and Kyle Lowry not part of the Sixers future.
Yeah. Certainly Grimes might be their sixth man, or Edwards. Honestly, the way that Edwards has played this season,
I can see
has been impressive. You still have Ricky out there, who's probably, I think he's worked his way down the bench the way that he's played as of late. Drummond, just because we need size up there, is going to get minutes.
Yeah.
If he wasn't a center, I would say Drummond's kind of at this point cooked, but we need size, and he's still cooked, but we need size. So he's going to back up Embiid when he plays. Probably a mix of Yabu as well, who can play a backup. We'll stagger those minutes, but going to be very interesting with the Sixers too. He finally has some guards to work with and some youth, and Butler and Grimes to, for Coach Nick Nurse to actually work around. We'll see, because we have wings. Edwards and Ricky Council, both wings. So it's nice to have some guys out there that can kind of handle the load, ball handle, maybe set the offense up, and make some easy passes into whether it's Embiid in the post, set up a guy like Maxey, maybe off ball a little bit. Who knows? So it's going to be interesting to see. But we need the starters to step up. PG's got to step up, and that's a different conversation.
Yeah, in terms of rotations, I see. Maxey does play the whole first quarter a lot of times. So what I could see happening is maybe you move, Embiid plays if he plays. You have him playing, the first 6 to 8 minutes, and then you take him out, move Yabusele to the 5, move everyone down a little bit here. Bring in a Grimes, you bring in an Edwards, or bring in an Eric Gordon, whatever it may be. Could be 2 out of the 3, could be 3 out of the 3 if you want to take out PG and Oubre, whatever it may be. And then you go back to Joel Embiid, bring these kind of guys around. In terms of like a 9-10 minute rotation, I like the starters. I'd like to see Butler. I'd like to see Grimes. I'd like to see Edwards. And then after that, you mix in a Rookie Council. That's when you mix in an Eric Gordon. That's when you mix in a Kyle Lowry. Those types of things.
Yeah, no, we'll see. It's hard to judge just the way the Sixers have played. It's been so deflating, and we won't really know till we see these guys on the floor to get a better look at them and say, hey, after a couple of games, this is what they do well, this is what they don't. But especially playing alongside an Embiid, we know how the complexion of the game changes as soon as a Joel steps in. They're a completely different Sixers team when Embiid's on the court. First off, they can have all the starters, but Embiid, it's a different team. It just is. So it's going to be interesting. They're going to go for it because that's the way the Sixers are built. I don't think their plan, even if they had 10 wins, 10 wins might be different, but still, they probably might not tag and go for that. The players are going to go out there. Maxey's like, I'm going to hustle and play how I play. No player goes out there and says, hey, let's hope we lose this game. Not how they approach it. Sure, they can bench some guys and this and that. The front office can take a different approach, but the Sixers are going to go for it. They just are. Embiid came back in his first game and dropped a 30-point triple-double. The dude hasn't played in a month, comes back casually. He didn't even look that good. He really didn't. He had some rough moments. 30-point triple-double, just like that, we win. So he's that powerful. We just need him to come back, and I think this team honestly has the potential, and PG needs to play not like a minimum player, unlike Yabu, who's playing like a max player. So they need to switch roles, or maybe just even out. Yeah, switch contracts, I should say.
Yeah. Hey, no, we'll see here. Again, no game tonight for the 76ers. But an exciting time right now. Seems like they may have changed, gotten a little better. Let's get in a little bit of a groove here. Let's get some starters back. Let's get PG playing a little more.
Mm-hmm.
Just played last night against the Miami Heat. Lost that game, unfortunately.
Oh my god.
But I want to, should hopefully see more PG and some Embiid alongside Maxey for the starting lineup. We'll keep you updated on buyout, all that kind of stuff. Maybe we'll do like another recap video in a few days after we know like kind of the full picture there. Stay tuned. As we let you know about, future lives, all that kind of stuff. But appreciate everyone that hopped in here. Zay and Scout and everyone else that listened in here. Hit that like and subscribe button below. Again, we're giving away $25 to random sub for every 100 subscribers. We're, I think, around 50 away. We're a little less than 50 away from 500, which is pretty crazy to say. So appreciate all the continued support. If you're already a subscriber, stay tuned for that. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. You'll get not only entered in the chance to win the $25 at 500, but at 600, 700, all the way to 1,000. We also got a private Instagram chat for subs only. So that's just if you want to be added. Thank you so much for watching. Go Sixers.
Go
Super Bowl on
Birds.
Sunday. So everyone stay safe out there in the Super Bowl. Hopefully the Birds can pull it off, and we will see all of you soon.
Cheers.
Everyone, cheers.